The mind is a restless bird. The more it gets, the more it wants and still remains unsatisfied, says Mahatma Gandhi. Today, we live in a world that always asks us to want more things, more achievement, more milestones, more attention, and more validation. We have all noticed something addictive about this, that no matter how much we receive, the wanting itself never seems to stop. There is an ancient story that captures this feeling better than any modern book can. It is the story of a man who fell into a well, and what he did inside that well. Long ago, a traveler was walking across an empty plain when an enraged beast appeared behind him. To escape, the man began to run. As he ran, he saw a dry well in his path. He climbed down into it, hoping to hide. But at the bottom of the well, a dragon was waiting, with its jaws open. The man could not climb back up because of the beast above. He could not drop down because of the dragon below. So he caught hold of a small twig growing from a crack in the well wall, and he hung there. As he hung, he noticed two mice, one black, one white, circling the twig and gnawing at it. He knew that soon the twig would break, and he would fall into the dragon's mouth. But while he was still hanging there, he saw a few drops of honey on the leaves of the twig. He stretched out his tongue, and he licked them. Today, in this video, we will see what this old story is quietly telling us about our modern life, about why we are always chasing more, and what it would mean to finally taste what is already in front of us. This story first appears in the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, written more than 2,000 years ago. Inside this epic, after the great war of Kurukshetra has ended, a blind king named Dhritarashtra is given the news that all 100 of his sons have been killed in a single battle. His entire dynasty is destroyed. Listening to this, the king falls to the ground and refuses to get up. He cries out, asking why he, of all men on this earth, should be the one to suffer so much. And then a wise man named Vidura, the king's own brother, quietly sits beside him on the ground. He does not give the king advice or tell him to be strong, or that the war was destiny and that his sons died with honor. He simply tells the broken father a story. And the story he tells is the story of the man in the well. Vidura says, the well is not just the well in the story. The well is the body that every one of us lives inside. The dragon at the bottom is time itself, slowly destroying every being. The two mice, white and black, are the days and the nights of our life. And the honey on the leaves is the small sweet pleasure we keep reaching for, even as we are dying. What Vidura is actually trying to convey to the king is, you are not special in your suffering. The well, the dragon, the mice, and the honey, these apply to every mortal being who has ever lived. You think your grief is unique because your sons died, but every person on this earth is hanging from the same twig, watching the same mice work. Your suffering is not a punishment that singled you out. It is the basic condition of being alive. Then Vidura says, the more is what kept you blind. The honey in the parable is desire. The small pleasures we keep reaching for. Vidura is gently telling the king, you spent your whole life chasing the honey of power, victory, and a greater kingdom for your sons. You wanted your son Duryodhana to win at any cost. While you were licking that honey, the mice were already working. The war was already coming. You did not see the dragon because you were busy with the honey. Finally, Vidura says, wisdom means letting go of the reaching. Vidura's final teaching after the allegorical key is this: those who understand the truth of the well stop being slaves to the wheel of life. They keep living and functioning, but they stop grasping. They stop treating every small pleasure as if it must be held, repeated, and made to come again. They taste what is in front of them and then let it pass. Needless to say, the lesson Vidura gave to the grieving king is the same lesson the story is giving to us. In today's society, the honey is the next thing. The notification we keep refreshing. The stuff that should have been enough 5 years ago and somehow has to be more this year. The new gadget that has to arrive before December. The honey is the latest version of what we already own, slightly upgraded, slightly modified. For many people, the honey is the next vacation, house, or car that will finally feel like rest, or the next person who might love them better, or the next dish on the menu they can finally afford. According to Buddhism, the cause of all human suffering is one thing: tanha, the unending thirst for more. Buddha taught that desire is like salt water. The more we drink of it, the more thirsty we become. Now, we must remind ourselves of something important. None of these honey drops are a lie. The promotion was sweet on the day we received it. The first night in the new house was sweet. The first time someone we loved said our name in a certain way was sweet. The honey itself is real. The sweetness is real. However, the lie is the belief that the next drop will be sweeter than the previous one. For example, the person who is finally promoted to senior manager after years of effort feels a moment of relief, and then within a few weeks, the mind begins to ask, what about director or vice president? The honey on the tongue is forgotten in the search for the honey on the next leaf. Philosophy of minimalism says, the more we own, the more we are owned. A man with one bowl carries one weight. A man with 1,000 bowls carries 1,000 weights, and still, somewhere in his mind, he is asking himself when the next bowl will arrive. The strange thing about this story is that we already know all of this. We have always known it, and yet we keep reaching. So the obvious question is, why? The answer is gentle and honest. We reach for the next drop of honey because in the well of human life, there are only 3 directions to look: up at the beast, down at the dragon, or sideways at the leaf. 2 of those directions are pure terror. Only one of them is sweet. So we keep our tongues out. We keep looking sideways. We keep reaching. According to the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the human mind, when left without a small task to chase, will turn on itself and begin to manufacture its own suffering. We are not licking the honey because we are greedy. We are licking it because we cannot bear to be alone with the size of the well. This is not weakness. This is the only survivable position for a creature that knows it is going to die. However, there is a cost to this constant reaching, and that cost is the entire teaching of the parable Vidura gave the king. It is the entire teaching of this 2,000-year-old story. In the story, the man does not die because he licked the honey. The honey was the only mercy he received in the well. He dies because, in the last hour of his life, he was not tasting the drop on his tongue, he was thinking about the next drop, the one he hoped would appear on the next leaf, the one that was just out of his reach. He spent his final sweetness, reaching for a sweetness that was not coming. Philosophy of simple living says, a drop is enough. A drop has always been enough. The salary we have today was the dream we held when we had nothing. The home we are sitting in was the home we prayed for long ago. In reality, we are tasting honey right now, and we do not know it. We are reaching past it for a drop that does not yet exist and may never exist. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The well does not change. The dragon does not change. The mice do not change. The only thing that can change is us. The day we finally stop reaching for the next drop and begin to see the one that is already in front of us. Needless to say, this old story is not asking us to escape the well. There is no escape. The man in the story did not escape. The grieving king did not escape. Buddha did not escape. And we will not escape. The story is asking us, are we tasting this drop of honey, the one already on our tongue? Or are we, at this very moment, already trying to reach for the next? By remembering the truths Vidura spoke to the grieving king, we can begin to slow our reaching. We can look at the cup of tea in our hands, the light through the window, the face of the person near us, and recognize that this too is honey. This too is the drop we have been chasing all along. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. Thanks for watching.